over in Western Australia. This idiot, the Emperor McGowan, who, yes, might be flying high in the polls, but we do not live in his kingdom. He's a bloke who is essentially running the secessionist argument about Western Australia because us people in WA don't want to deal with the rest of the country, despite the fact, of course, that he's from New South Wales, not from Western Australia, but, you know, facts. Anyway, this, of course, was originally all supposedly about the virus. Well, it turns out one of the reasons why he is going to trap people in Western Australia, he's going to tell you you can't see your family for Christmas. Well, apparently now is that he wants to keep the citizens of Western Australia as economic hostages in Western Australia between now and the March election.
The other states want us to open the border so that West Australian tourists will flood east, not so that people from the east will come here. They're only saying all this for very self-interested reasons, because we have higher incomes, we have people that are more used to travelling, and therefore we'll have more tourists go from Western Australia to the east.
Even the bloke behind him thinks that he's full of shit. Like, honestly, he thinks he can extend this thing till March. In part because he knows that JobKeeper is going to be around till March, which means in Western Australia, which has the highest unemployment rate in the country, well, that, of course, all somehow becomes the federal government's fault should they decide to substantially pull JobKeeper and pare back JobSeeker even more than they currently are. This bloke is clearly a little bit worried about the reality of just how bad that announcement went a couple of days ago, because today they announced they're going to send $600 to every single household in Western Australia. Oh, of course, it's to pay for your electricity bills, but it's going into your bank account. It's essentially the Rudd payment from 2009. Instead, it's the McGowan arse-covering exercise of 2020. You need to flush this mob in Queensland, and then we'll talk about the great flush that needs to happen in Western Australia, although I think our chances there a little tougher than what is about to happen in Queensland, where I believe Palaszczuk is well and truly on the nose for the most obvious of reasons, as I like to say in Queensland. Flush this mob, I'll give you the domestos to get rid of the stain. Let's talk about this now with a great panel, none other than the great James McGrath, Senator from Queensland, who disagrees with every word I just had to say about the Queensland government. None other than the beautiful Liz Storer, of course, part of the Sky News family. How are you, my dear?
Good, how are you?
Rock and roll as always. Michael Kroger locked up and excited to hear that the 5K zone could be extended anytime soon.
Oh, yes. Can't wait, Paul.
And the man who's going to pretend that white is black, black is red, up and down is apparently a concept, and Daniel Andrews is doing an amazing job, while Donald Trump is simultaneously faking COVID while also almost dying from it, Stephen Conroy.
Good to be with you. Black and white is up today following last night's epic victory.
All right, let's talk here about the Deputy Premier of Queensland. One more reason to flush this mob. This bloke's the Health Minister, but this bloke is all politics. Just like he's all politics about the borders, he's all politics about the pandemic, and he decided it was time for him, within 2 hours of the President declaring that he was COVID positive, well, to put this bit of smart-arsery out there on Twitter, where he wrote, "Have you considered intravenous disinfectant?" Senator, we'll start with you. This bloke is the Health Minister, and yes, I understand the joke, but what a smart-ass that this bloke is, that he assumes that because he disagrees with the world leader and he disagrees with their politics, then somehow wishing poisoning upon that person is not just a decent thing to do, but it's something that you're so confident of that you can do during your own damn election campaign.
Stephen Miles is what I call a double flush. This guy is an embarrassment for Queensland. What I don't understand is that it's okay for the Health Minister to joke about someone having coronavirus, but it's not okay for a daughter to go to her dad's funeral. It's not okay for someone who has gone through brain surgery to get an exemption. So we've got these classic double standards here with Stephen Miles, that he'll joke around with the student politician that he is. He's got this political gravitas of a pumpkin, but what he's got to realise, he is the Health Minister and the Deputy Premier of a state. He holds a position of responsibility, and we all, love a good joke, but hang on, mate. Make some consistent decisions based on common sense rather than engaging in Twitter wars. This guy is there are more mature people in sandpits at a local kindergarten than you see with Stephen Miles. I'm just embarrassed for him, actually.
Well, at least we get a little indication into how he truly views everything, which of course is politics. Here's what the idiot had to say a bit earlier this weekend.
It certainly appears that I've kicked an internet's hornet's web, but I think everybody knows the context here. Everybody knows the quite outrageous things that Donald Trump has said throughout this pandemic. I think it was incredibly irresponsible of him to be making statements about supposed treatments that were unproven, about supposed vaccines that were unproven.
What a dickhead.